The story of drums, American success, actually begins in the quiet suburbs of Marburg, Germany, in a studio environment that was as much a classroom as it was a workspace. His father, Mike, was a professional producer who recognized very early that his daughter didn't just have rhythm, she had an innate understanding of the physics of sound. By the age of 10, while her peers were focused on elementary school hobbies, was already functioning as a fact session drummer for her father's various recording projects. This was a critical distinction in her development. She wasn't learning to play for an audience yet. She was learning to play for the microphone. This studio-first upbringing meant she developed a level of precision that is rare in live performers. She learned how the velocity of a snare hit translates into a digital waveform and how to maintain a perfectly consistent pocket against a click track. This early discipline laid the groundwork for her YouTube launch in 2013. When she finally shared her talents with the world, she wasn't presenting a raw talent. She was presenting a polished, studio-hardened professional who happened to be a teenager. This foundation is exactly why her American fans find her live performances so perfect. She spent her entire childhood mastering the art of the perfect take, a skill that now translates into a live show that sounds like a studio master recording. To conquer the American rock market, one must eventually pay homage to the big three of progressive drumming. Pert, Mike, and Phil Collins didn't just cover these artists, she deconstructed them with surgical precision. Her breakthrough into the consciousness of American gearheads and drum enthusiasts came when she tackled Dream Theater's Metropolis 1. This track is widely considered a career killer for many drummers due to its erratic time signatures and the sheer physical demand of its midsection. Its approach was academic. She spent weeks breaking the song down into mathematical segments, internalizing the shifts from 4/4 to 7/8 and back again. For the American audience, seeing a teenage girl from Germany execute these parts with a calm, almost effortless demeanor was a cultural shock. It challenged the stereotype that heavy or complex drumming required a certain level of aggressive masculinity. Instead, brought a sense of grace and clinical accuracy to the kit. This technical mastery earned her millions of views from the US, forming the bedrock of her North American. By mastering the hardest songs in the rock canon, she effectively auditioned for the entire world, and the American public gave her a standing ovation. As her influence grew, realized that her mastery could be a bridge to other artists, she launched the Kymite Project, an ambitious international collaboration that saw her recording original music with vocalists and instrumentalists from across the globe, including many from the United States. This project was of digital diplomacy. It proved that she wasn't just a cover artist, a label that many YouTube musicians struggle to shed, but a creative force and a band leader. Through Kymite, she collaborated with American talents like Roberts and diverse artists from the UK and Canada. This required her to adapt her drumming style to fit original compositions, proving her versatility. She had to move from the rigid structures of progressive metal to the soulful, groove-heavy demands of pop and blues. For her American followers, this showed a depth of character and a willingness to support other independent artists. It turned her channel into a hub for global talent, with her drums serving as the heartbeat of the entire operation. This wasn't just about playing drums, it was about building a community, and that community eventually became the ticket-buying public that would welcome her to the US years later. One of the most significant turning points in its journey toward the USA was the direct validation she received from established rock legends. When the iconic drummer of Deep Purple publicly praised her cover of Burn, the impact was immediate. Is a titan of the British invasion era that defined American rock radio for decades. His endorsement acted as a seal of quality for older generations of American drum fans who might have been skeptical of a social media musician. This led to a high-profile collaboration involving and other prodigies, effectively cementing his place in the lineage of great rock drummers. It is rare for a YouTube-based musician to receive such a high level of institutional respect from the old guard. This validation allowed her to bridge the generational gap in the US market. Suddenly, she wasn't just a favorite of Gen Z on Tik. She was being discussed in Modern Drummer magazine and on classic rock forums by fans who had been playing for 40 years. This cross-generational appeal is what makes her current US tour so successful. You see fathers and daughters in the audience, both equally impressed by her technical command of the kit. At the height of her initial fame, made a decision that confused many of her peers but ultimately secured her future. She went back to school. In 2020, she enrolled at the ArtEZ Academy of Music in the Netherlands to study jazz and pop. This move was about more than just getting a degree. It was about the mastery of feel. While she could already play the most difficult rock songs, jazz required a level of dynamic control and improvisation that is notoriously difficult to self-teach. During her 4 years at ArtEZ, she underwent a transformation. She learned how to play with brushes, how to swing, and how to interact with a live jazz ensemble. This period of academic rigor added a layer of sophistication to her playing that is now evident in her live American sets. She can pivot from a blistering metal fill to a delicate, syncopated jazz groove without missing a beat. This versatility has made her a prime candidate for session work in the US, where being a one-trick pony is a career dead end. Her Bachelor of Arts degree, earned in 2024, was the final piece of the puzzle, transforming her from a prodigy into a professor of her craft. In 2024, made the tactical move of relocating her base of operations from Germany to London. For a musician eyeing the American market, London is the ultimate springboard. It is the center of the European music industry and has deep, historical ties to the US touring circuit. In London, was able to connect with high-level session musicians, producers, and management teams who specialized in international growth. This move also marked her graduation from her father's home studio. She began recording in world-class London facilities, further refining her sound for a global audience. The move was widely seen by industry insiders as the pre-game for her American invasion. It allowed her to build a European touring resume that made her a safe bet for American promoters. By the time she announced her first US dates, she had already conquered the European club and theater circuit, proving she could handle the physical and mental toll of life on the road. London gave her the professional sheen that the American market demands, turning the drums brand into a global export. Before her solo US tour, took on a role that would prove her ability to handle massive, high-pressure environments, the Rock the Opera series. In this show, she performed classic rock hits alongside full symphonic orchestras in legendary venues like the Vienna State Opera and the Palau La. For a drummer, playing with an orchestra is a unique challenge. You are responsible for the time of 60 to 80 other musicians, many of whom are sitting 50 feet away from you. This experience taught her how to lead from the drum throne. It required her to play with extreme authority and projection. When American fans see her now, they are seeing a drummer who has been tested in the most prestigious acoustic environments in the world. She isn't intimidated by a large stage or a massive crowd because she has already held down the rhythm for a full orchestra in a 2,000-seat opera house. This orchestral discipline has given her live performance a sense of grandeur and scale that is rarely seen in independent rock drummers. As we track her progress through 2026, the data shows that drums is currently one of the most successful international independent acts in the United States. Her tour, which has touched major hubs like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, has been characterized by sold-out rooms and a level of fan engagement that is usually reserved for major label stars. The American invasion has been a multi-pronged attack. She isn't just playing live. She is hosting, appearing on local morning shows, and collaborating with American YouTubers in their home studios. This boots-on-the-ground approach has humanized her to the American public. She is no longer just a girl in a video. She is a person you can meet, learn from, and watch sweat through a 2-hour set of high-intensity percussion. The feedback from US critics has been overwhelmingly positive, with many pointing out that her live sound is indistinguishable from her recorded sound, a testament to her lifelong commitment to technical perfection. A key part of Samerican appeal is her original covers series. Unlike most YouTube drummers who simply play along to a pre-existing MP3, and her father re-record every single instrument on the track from scratch. This means when you watch a drums video, you are hearing a completely new version of the song, tailored to showcase her drumming. This philosophy has carried over into her American tour. She doesn't just play to a backing track. She brings a high-level band that recreates these original covers live. This level of production value is what separates her from the thousands of other drummers on social media. She isn't just covering music, she is producing it. For the American market, which is saturated with low-quality content, its commitment to high-fidelity audio and professional cinematography is a breath of fresh air. It shows a level of respect for the audience's ears and eyes, and it has allowed her to maintain a premium brand image that justifies theater-level ticket prices in major US cities. Finally, we must address the taking the USA by storm narrative within the context of gender in the music industry. Has often spoken about her desire to be known as a great drummer, not just a great female drummer. However, her success in America has undeniably made her a figurehead for a new generation of women in percussion. In the US, where the drummer archetype has long been a male-dominated space, its presence is revolutionary. She doesn't lean into viral tropes or gimmicks. She leans into the gear, the technique, and the music. This music-first approach has garnered her a massive amount of respect from American female drummers who see her as a serious role model who prioritized education and skill over social media clout. As she wraps up her 2026 tour, her legacy in the US is already being written. She has proven that the impossible drum parts of the past are not just the domain of the legends who wrote them. They are the playground for a new digital generation that is ready to take the throne. Reporting from the tour bus, this is your name. Back to the studio.